What if time wasn't a straight line but a vast spiraling web? What if every moment we experience exists not just in the present, but echoes across a spectrum of possibility, across infinite timelines? Imagine that time travel isn't just some far-fetched fantasy from science fiction, but a hidden truth, buried deep within ancient teachings, suppressed by powers that feared its true potential. You've probably heard of time travel in movies, visions of DeLoreans or wormholes, but the concept of moving through time goes back thousands of years. It's been whispered about in the esoteric circles of lost civilizations, hidden in the dusty corners of forbidden texts, and kept alive in the oral traditions of mystics and sages. These aren't just fanciful ideas. They are the remnants of knowledge far older than our modern understanding of time. But here's the question that has haunted philosophers and mystics for centuries. What if we've been looking at time all wrong? What if instead of moving forward through time, we've always had the ability to transcend it, at will, at any moment? And what if the secret to time travel isn't a machine or a portal, but a shift in consciousness, a profound understanding of the universe itself? In today's exploration, we'll dive deep into the hidden truths of time travel. We'll uncover ancient philosophies, lost texts, and unexplained phenomena that suggest time is not as rigid and linear as we've been taught. From the secret knowledge of the Egyptians and the Sumerians to the mystics of medieval Europe, this secret has been kept from the masses for millennia. But why? Is it possible that time travel is not a future technology, but an ancient wisdom waiting to be rediscovered? Could the ability to navigate time be linked to our spiritual evolution rather than our scientific advancements? Prepare yourself to see time through a completely different lens, one that could change everything you think you know about reality. This journey will not only challenge your perception of time, but will also open doors to deeper, more profound questions about the nature of existence. We'll reveal the forbidden truths, explain why they've been hidden, and explore how these insights can be applied in your own life today. Time is waiting, and its secrets are about to be revealed. But be warned, once you start questioning time, it may never look the same again. The concept of time travel isn't as modern as we might think. In fact, it stretches back into the annals of ancient history, where it was considered more of a spiritual practice than a scientific pursuit. Our ancestors didn't view time as a straight line. Instead, they understood it as a vast and interconnected web, one that could be navigated and manipulated by those with the right knowledge. In ancient Egypt, for example, the concept of time wasn't just tied to clocks or calendars. The Egyptians had an understanding of time as cyclical, an eternal recurrence where the past, present, and future were not separate but intertwined. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, for instance, describes a journey through the afterlife where the soul traverses not just physical realms but temporal ones, as if time itself was something that could be left behind and revisited. But this was no mere metaphor. To the Egyptians, the soul was capable of moving through time, revisiting past lives and experiences. The Sumerians, another ancient civilization that flourished in what is now Iraq, had similar views on time. Their mythologies were filled with gods and heroes who seemed to exist both within and outside of time. The Sumerian creation myth, which tells the story of the gods shaping the universe, describes a kind of cosmic clockwork, where time was both a physical and metaphysical force that could be bent or broken by the gods. Sumerian priests and mystics believed that through sacred rituals, they could communicate with deities and travel between different ages, accessing the knowledge of past and future. But perhaps the most fascinating and mysterious of all are the teachings of the ancient Vedic sages of India. The concept of Kalachakra, or the Wheel of Time, is one of the most profound philosophical ideas ever conceived. In Vedic philosophy, time is not linear but cyclical, an eternal wheel that turns without end. Within this cycle, it's said that certain enlightened beings, known as rishis, could access different points in time, both in the past and the future. They could see the future not as a fixed series of events, but as a vast ocean of possibilities, one that could be navigated with the right spiritual discipline. Yet, as civilizations advanced and the ages passed, this knowledge began to fade into the shadows. As empires rose and fell, the wisdom of time manipulation was buried beneath layers of dogma, suppression, and deliberate misinterpretation. The advent of linear thinking, brought on by the rise of modern science, completely shifted humanity's understanding of time. No longer was it something spiritual or mystical. Instead, it became a measurable quantity, something that could be dissected and controlled by technology. But in the silence of ancient libraries and forgotten temples, this knowledge persisted. The great thinkers of the Renaissance, such as Giordano Bruno and John Dee, delved into the idea that time, like space, could be traversed by the mind. Bruno, in particular, was fascinated by the idea of infinite worlds, and he theorized that time itself could be crossed through higher states of consciousness. But his ideas were branded heretical, and his pursuit of these ancient truths ultimately led to his tragic execution. It's clear that time travel, in its earliest forms, was never about machines or technology. It was a spiritual pursuit, a way to transcend the physical realm and reach higher planes of existence. But why did these ancient concepts fall into obscurity? Why, after millennia of understanding time as a dynamic force, did humanity choose to lock itself into a rigid, linear perception? The answer lies in the power of knowledge, and the fear it has always instilled in those who seek to control it. Time is more than just a backdrop for our lives. It is a force that, if understood and wielded, could shift the very fabric of reality. And so the true nature of time was hidden from the public, its teachings suppressed, its mysteries locked away. Yet it's in these very forgotten truths that we might find the key to unlocking our own ability to transcend time, just as the ancient sages once did. At this point, we have explored how the concept of time travel was understood in ancient cultures and philosophies. But let's now turn our focus inward, to the very essence of what time is, and how it can be manipulated. It's one thing to say time is a fluid concept, but it's another to understand how we can begin to interact with it, just as our ancestors did. To begin, let's address the elephant in the room, the linear perception of time that dominates modern thought. From the moment we wake up, we are conditioned to think of time as a series of consecutive moments, seconds, minutes, hours, and days ticking away on a clock. This is how the scientific world sees time, an unchangeable, measurable quantity. But what if this view is incomplete? What if time, as we experience it, is only a fragment of a much deeper, more mysterious structure? Consider the concept of the present moment. We often hear that the present is all we have. It's true that time is always moving forward, but what if the present moment is not the fleeting moment it appears to be? What if it is a portal, a gateway to other dimensions of time, past and future? When we examine the most ancient texts, such as the Vedic scriptures or the Tibetan Buddhist teachings on shunyata, emptiness, time is not seen as a continuous flow, but as a vast field of possibilities, where every present moment is a nexus that connects different dimensions of existence. This idea isn't as fantastical as it sounds. Quantum physics, too, offers a glimpse into the possibility of time not being as fixed as we believe. The theory of quantum superposition suggests that particles can exist in multiple states at once, occupying different points in time and space simultaneously. This hints at a reality where time is not a simple progression, but a dynamic, multi-dimensional construct, where past, present, and future coexist in parallel. But beyond quantum mechanics, there's an even deeper layer of truth here, one that ancient mystics seem to have understood instinctively. Time is not a passive background against which we live our lives. It is an active force, a conscious presence that responds to the observer. In essence, time itself is malleable, and we, as conscious beings, have the potential to shift our perception of it. To begin understanding this, let's explore the work of some modern thinkers who, in their own ways, have attempted to reveal the deeper truths of time. One of the most intriguing figures in this realm is Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology. Jung was fascinated by the concept of the collective unconscious, a layer of the psyche that transcends individual experiences and connects all humans across time. Jung believed that through deep introspection and inner work, individuals could access not only their own unconscious minds, but the unconscious minds of all humanity, past and future. Jung's exploration of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect, suggests that time may not be as linear as we think. In his work, he often spoke of moments when the boundaries between past, present, and future seemed to collapse, where events from different points in time appeared to align in ways that defied rational explanation. These occurrences were not random, he argued, but rather reflections of a deeper, interconnected web of time. But how can we, in the modern world, begin to tap into this knowledge? How can we experience what the ancients once knew about time as a fluid, navigable force? One of the most powerful ways to begin is through meditative practices that allow us to quiet the mind and transcend the physical limits of time. In ancient traditions, rituals and altered states of consciousness were employed to access different time frames, often in the form of dreams, visions, and trance states. Take, for example, the practice of shamanic journeying. Shamans from various cultures have long believed that through drumming, chanting, or deep meditation, one could enter an altered state of consciousness, effectively traveling through time. In these states, shamans report having profound experiences, often interacting with ancestors, witnessing future events, or receiving wisdom that seems to transcend the linear passage of time. These experiences, though dismissed by some as mere fantasy, are in fact experiences that blur the boundaries between time periods, creating a space where past, present, and future merge into a single, continuous flow. But it's not just the mystics and shamans who have explored time in this way. Many modern individuals who practice out-of-body experiences, OBEs, or astral projection claim to experience the ability to traverse time and space. In these altered states, practitioners often report having the sensation of time traveling, witnessing events in the past, or even experiencing future moments. While science may not fully explain these phenomena, the experiences themselves are undeniably real to those who have undergone them. So, what does this mean for us today? Are we simply passive observers of time, or can we take a more active role in shaping it? The key lies in realizing that our perception of time is far more elastic than we've been taught. By tapping into higher states of consciousness, whether through meditation, visualization, or even through the study of ancient wisdom, we may begin to unlock our own potential to transcend the limitations of linear time. As our ancestors knew, time isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we can interact with, bend, and possibly even travel through. In the next section, we'll delve deeper into the contradictions and the mysteries that lie hidden in our understanding of time, exploring some of the most common misconceptions, as well as uncovering hidden truths that may help us understand the true nature of time travel. We've established that time is far from the rigid, linear force that we are conditioned to believe. But if time is in fact a dynamic, multidimensional construct, what are the deeper mysteries and contradictions that lie hidden beneath the surface of this perception? In this section, we will take a closer look at some of the misconceptions and hidden truths surrounding time travel, as well as some alternative viewpoints that challenge our conventional understanding. First, let's examine one of the most enduring myths about time travel, the paradox. Perhaps you've heard of the famous grandfather paradox. in which a time traveler goes back in time and accidentally prevents their grandfather from meeting their grandmother. The logical outcome is that the time traveler would never have been born and thus never have traveled back in time in the first place. This paradox suggests that time travel could be inherently self-contradictory. But is the paradox really a flaw in the concept of time travel itself, or is it simply a limitation of our current understanding of time? What if time doesn't operate on a single, fixed path, but instead exists in a web of interconnected possibilities, each choice creating a new timeline, a new branch of reality? In this view, the grandfather paradox ceases to be a contradiction and instead becomes a natural part of the time travel experience. The traveler's actions could create a divergent timeline, one where their existence is altered but not erased. This theory of parallel universes or multiverses is gaining traction in both quantum mechanics and theoretical physics. The idea is that every time a decision is made, or a change occurs in the past, an entirely new universe is created. Branching off from the original timeline, this means that even if the traveler changes something crucial in the past, like preventing their grandparents from meeting, the original timeline remains intact, and a new reality is simply born from that moment. This theory aligns surprisingly well with certain mystic teachings, particularly those found in Kabbalah and Hermeticism. The Kabbalistic concept of the tree of life illustrates how every action, thought, and decision creates ripples that affect the world on multiple planes of existence. These teachings suggest that time is not a singular, unchangeable line, but rather a branching system of possibilities, each one interconnected and yet distinct from the other. But if time travel involves the creation of new timelines and the splitting of realities, does that mean that there are infinite versions of ourselves, countless alternate lives and destinies, all existing at the same time? This concept brings us to another fascinating mystery, the nature of the self. According to esoteric philosophy, the self is not a fixed, unchanging entity. Instead, it is a fluid, evolving consciousness that experiences different realities and dimensions simultaneously. This suggests that time travel may not just be a means of visiting the past or future. It could be a method of reconnecting with alternate versions of ourselves in different timelines. This concept can be found in Jungian psychology, where Jung himself proposed the idea of the self as an evolving, multifaceted archetype that encompasses not just the individual, but all possible versions of the individual across time. In a similar vein, many spiritual traditions, including Eastern philosophy and Sufism, speak of the existence of multiple facets of the soul, each living different lives across different times and dimensions. The soul, in this view, is not confined to a single moment of time, but spans across all of existence, experiencing life in multiple forms simultaneously. But what does this mean for practical time travel? Can we access these alternate selves or timelines through meditation, altered states, or even through the use of esoteric tools? The idea of parallel lives is not just confined to metaphysical theory. It has practical implications for how we approach time and personal growth. In fact, one of the most powerful techniques for tapping into alternate versions of ourselves involves the practice of deep regression, a method used in past life therapy to access memories of past incarnations or even alternate realities. By entering altered states of consciousness, practitioners claim to be able to visit not only their past lives but also the experiences of other aspects of their soul's journey, existing in parallel timelines. The practice of quantum jumping, a method that combines visualization and meditation to access different versions of the own self across timelines, is another modern technique that draws inspiration from both quantum theory and esoteric wisdom. Quantum jumpers believe that by focusing their energy and intention, they can shift from one timeline to another, experiencing alternate realities where different choices were made. Some even claim to have made contact with their future selves, gaining insights and guidance from the version of them that has already lived through certain events. But the deeper question remains, if time travel is possible in this way, what does it mean for free will? If our lives are constantly branching off into infinite possibilities, how do we reconcile this with the idea of choice and responsibility? Does the existence of multiple timelines suggest that we are mere players in an already written script, or does it imply that we are actively co-creating our reality with every thought and action? The key here lies in understanding that while time may be fluid and full of possibilities, it is not entirely without structure. In fact, many ancient traditions speak of time as being governed by cycles, the wheel of Dharma in Buddhism, the great year in astrology, and the Ouroboros in Hermetic philosophy. These cycles suggest that while we may have the freedom to make choices, those choices are still part of a larger, universal rhythm, a cosmic dance that unfolds in patterns across time. What we can take from this is that time travel, while mysterious and elusive, is not simply a matter of moving backward or forward. It's about recognizing the larger cycles that govern existence and how we, as conscious beings, can align ourselves with these cycles in order to navigate through time with greater clarity and purpose. In the final section, we'll explore how to apply this knowledge practically. How can we use these insights to influence our lives today and even harness the power of time travel in a way that benefits our personal growth and spiritual awakening? Now that we've explored the deeper philosophical layers of time travel, let's shift gears and talk about how these ancient secrets can be practically applied. What if I told you that you could actually start experimenting with time travel in your own life, not in the way we imagine with flashy machines or paradoxes, but through your consciousness, your awareness, and your intentions? Let's start with a simple but powerful technique: deep meditation. Meditation, when practiced with intent, becomes more than just relaxation. It becomes a gateway. You've probably heard of meditation being used for stress relief or mental clarity, but what if I told you it could also be used to shift your experience of time? The concept of quantum jumping comes into play here. This practice involves aligning your consciousness with alternate timelines, essentially mentally shifting from one version of your life to another. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at a crossroads with different paths leading to different versions of your future. You can see them all: the life you might lead if you take one path and the person you might become if you take another. Now, in a deep meditative state, visualize walking down the path that resonates with the future you desire. Feel what it would be like to already be living that version of your life. What emotions would you feel? How would you act, think, and interact with the world? The more vividly you can immerse yourself in this alternate reality, the more you'll find that your decisions in the present start aligning with that future. Over time, you might notice that this future isn't just something you're imagining, but something you're stepping into. This is time travel, not through a machine, but through the power of your own mind. Another fascinating way to experience time travel is through past life regression. This technique is based on the idea that our souls have lived multiple lifetimes across different timelines, and that the knowledge and experiences from those lifetimes are still accessible to us today. The process of regression typically involves deep relaxation or hypnosis, helping you enter a state where you can access memories from these past lives or even alternate versions of your current life. This might sound a bit out there, but think about this for a second. What if the fear or block you're struggling with today actually stems from a past life? Or perhaps there's a skill or talent you've always felt drawn to, but never knew why. In a past life regression session, you could discover the root of those feelings, heal old wounds, or even unlock hidden abilities. Imagine suddenly realizing that a skill you've always wanted to master was something you were already an expert in, just in another lifetime. And in that moment, you'd understand that you've always had the power within you to move forward. Time travel, though, isn't just about connecting with the past. It's also deeply connected to symbolism and sacred geometry. Ancient cultures across the world, from the Egyptians to the Mayans, used symbols and geometric patterns to tap into higher dimensions. These symbols, like the flower of life or the Merkaba, are believed to hold the key to not just understanding the universe, but to navigating through time itself. Picture yourself focusing on one of these sacred symbols during meditation, allowing your mind to enter a state where you're no longer bound by the limitations of linear time. For example, the Merkaba, a star-shaped figure, was thought to be a vehicle for the soul, capable of transporting you through dimensions. By meditating on it, you could begin to feel yourself moving through time, accessing knowledge from different periods or parallel realities. It sounds mysterious, but it's the same principle behind sacred geometry. Everything is interconnected, and by aligning your energy with these ancient symbols, you begin to access the flow of time in ways you never imagined. Then there's the role of rituals in time travel. It's a fascinating idea, really. Many spiritual traditions use rituals to align themselves with the cycles of time, whether it's the changing of the seasons, the phases of the moon, or powerful astrological events. These rituals aren't just ceremonial, they're keys to higher realms of existence. They allow us to step out of the constraints of linear time and move in sync with the natural flow of the universe. For example, during the full moon, when energies are heightened, you could perform a ritual of intention setting. Take a moment to write down your desires, the changes you want to see in your life, and visualize stepping into a timeline where those changes are already happening. By channeling the powerful energy of the full moon and focusing your intention, you align yourself with the future you're trying to create. In doing this consistently, you might start noticing synchronicities, small signs that the universe is responding to your intentions. And let's not forget about the most powerful way of all to experience time travel, simply breaking free from the constraints of time itself. Time, as we typically perceive it, is just a construct, an organizing principle to make sense of our existence. But in reality, time is fluid, and we have the ability to step out of it altogether. By practicing mindfulness and presence, you begin to see that the past, present, and future aren't separate. They're all interconnected. Each moment is alive with infinite possibility, and by embracing the eternal now, you become free from the ticking of the clock. In this state, you realize that you're not just a passive observer of time, you're an active participant in it. You can move through it, shape it, and navigate it in ways that go beyond what we typically understand. Time travel, in its truest form, is about expanding your consciousness and understanding that you have the power to move through time as freely as you move through space. But a word of caution before you dive into these practices: don't approach time travel with a sense of desperation or a need to control the outcomes. The journey is subtle, and it's not about forcing things to happen. It's about allowing the universe to reveal itself in its own time. And always remain grounded in the present, because when you begin to explore time on these deeper levels, it can stir up powerful emotions or memories. Be gentle with yourself as you go on this journey. As we wrap up this journey through time, one thing becomes clear. Time travel is not just a futuristic concept, it's a doorway to unlocking the full potential of your consciousness. It's about understanding that time is not a rigid structure we're bound to. It's an expansive field where our minds can explore, shift, and evolve. Through practices like meditation, past life regression, sacred symbols, rituals, and simply embracing the present moment, you can begin to transcend the limitations of linear time. The true essence of time travel isn't about machines or paradoxes. It's about harnessing the power within you to bend and shape your reality. It's about breaking free from the ticking clock and realizing that you are not a prisoner of time, but its master. And as you practice these techniques, you'll begin to see how deeply interconnected past, present, and future are. Everything exists simultaneously, waiting for you to step into it with your intention. So the question now is, are you ready to begin your journey? Are you prepared to tap into the ancient knowledge that has been hidden for centuries? The answers to your questions, the solutions to your problems, and the future you desire are all within your reach, waiting for you to access them. The mystery of time travel has always been right in front of us, and now it's up to you to explore it. The key is in your hands and the doors are open. The only question is, which timeline will you choose to walk through next? As you ponder this, take a moment to reflect. What if time isn't something that happens to you, but something that you can shape, mold, and move through with purpose? If time is truly a malleable force, where will you go next and what will you become? Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the hidden truth of time travel. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share your experiences and explore even deeper into the mysteries of the universe. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is always just a step beyond the veil.